Hey guys, welcome to episode 31 of the Go Upstairs podcast.
I didn't even realize you were recording. But anyway, hi guys. Hi guys, it's me Rachel and I'm here with my good sis.
Mimi.
Thank you so much for joining me for episode 31.
What do you mean joining me? You're a dick, you know.
Anyway, we're back here and today's episode is on cancel culture. We don't really have a name for this episode yet, but
we're going to let the people decide on this one. So whatever the name of this episode is because of our followers. You guys made a decision.
So thank you so much for that. Your engagement is unmatched.
So today we have got 3. That's right, 3 guests. And I bet you're thinking, oh my God, how are you guys doing this? Like, you're not even together and then you're adding more people on top of that. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you how. Zoom, baby.
Zoom.
Technology
is really and truly a blessing.
A blessing. Like,
and I'm here for it, really.
You know what, we say it a lot, but like, yeah, I love it. I love it so much. So we've got 3 guests today, like I said. We've got Sarah, we've got Maya, and we've got Teza. So you'll be seeing each one of them throughout this episode, or hearing.
We've got a YouTube channel now.
Yeah, so depending on which platform you've chose, you're either listening or you're visually seeing us. I know which one I would do.
Look.
So we're going to be asking those guys a few questions about cancel culture, about the recent events on Black Twitter, and just the kind of stuff that's going down. Like, do we agree with it? Can people change their mind? So yeah, I think it's set to be quite an interesting episode to hear.
Yeah, same. Because in all, it's a bit of a sticky one still, isn't it?
Girl, it's a sticky one still.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that being said, shall we get into
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
So, sorry, before we get into that, can I just say, you know that makeup thing that you did the other day?
Yeah.
With the colors. So that is like my favorite kind of makeup. I don't even like looking at regular makeup tutorials because I'm just like, this is boring. But that kind of makeup look, this is like a proper makeup stan account. I am gagging. Is that it?
Gagging?
I'm like, I swear to God, that's what they say, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they do.
Listen to me. Mia, I am down with it, okay? But like literally, I was like, oh my God, yeah. Because like I follow people and they have like all these, and I was looking the other day for like colorful eyeliners. Yeah. I was thinking I could draw a friggin' butterfly on my face, go to the club, go to
the so cute.
I was like, yes. But so yeah, I was really feeling that.
Thanks, gal. Wow. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I think Rachel took it to another level there with gagging. She was like, I stand. So silly. So anyway, we've got Sarah on the pod today. She is one of our 3 guests. Obviously we saved the first till the most important till first. Yeah.
So other people can see this. But we're getting you on, we're gassing you, getting you say what you have to say.
So we are today talking about cancel culture after the whole kind of eruption, I think we'll call it, on I mean, I would say Twitter, but I feel like it was definitely a Black Twitter thing.
Yeah.
So we just kind of want to have a conversation about it, see what your take is on it, and just like the whole kind of cancel culture, like is it problematic, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? So yeah, let's get into it.
And also, sorry, before we go into this, I want to just my opinion on this has been more than just like a cancel culture thing, because this is way more than just this thing this week. This is like ongoing.
What, cancel culture?
Yeah, like,
yeah, this is just like a thing
out of the blue, and
yeah, it's always happening.
It's like a very deep-rooted issue.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think someone's at my door.
Oh.
I will.
So Sarah, how did this whole thing this week, how are you feeling? Well, yeah, cancel culture, we can start with that one.
Yeah, I feel like cancel culture, like to me, whenever I see it online, I feel like it's more of like a mob mentality thing. Like especially with some of the influencers that were mentioned like online, I feel like people kind of hold them on a pedestal when they're just normal people, and then as soon as they do like one thing wrong, everyone's like keyboard warriors and ready to like bash them and like tear them down. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure like there's people who would have definitely like said certain stuff within private settings, and obviously it's not going to come out because it's not online and no one's going to bash them for it, but they're so quick to like jump on the defense and like get onto other people and make them feel really terrible for stuff that they probably have done or worse.
Definitely.
And it's like sometimes you're like out and about on the road and like people make remarks about other cultures or other races just out and about, and you'll hear it and be like, oh, but like no one's gonna get on them because that's only like a isolated incident.
Yeah. And I think because these people are so like, obviously their lives are kind of under spotlight anyway.
Yeah.
But like for me, I just find it in itself an issue because people are like going out of their way to search these things. Like people are looking for it, like they're searching their name and then putting like, I don't know, like negative words after it, if you know what I mean. So I just think like it's like a hunt. It's like a witch hunt.
You just want to bring these people down. These people are actually doing good at the moment, and you're doing something to drag these people down, and not just on a wide scale. On a wide scale, you're not going to them personally and being like, okay, boom, you've done this. Maybe you could, but you want to bash them on the internet. It's kind of like bullying in a sense.
Yeah, it is online bullying.
Yeah, it's bullying.
And I think what is so like weird about this instance that's just happened is that obviously so many people got like exposed for having like tweets and things, but from what I saw on Twitter, it was only really like the black woman like Nella Rose, like Only Bells, who like took like a lot of shit for it, whereas there was other people like whatever he's called, Mr. Exposed, who was like saying stuff maybe just as bad, just as worse, and he wasn't catching as much smoke as them. And I think like it was sad because like I watched Nella Rose's video because obviously she was making a lot of tweets about dark-skinned women, but like for her, like it came from a place of maybe like self-hate rather than like actual like mean intentions. And I just think like you said, like we're so quick to cancel somebody because of their past, but like so many people will have had like issues like that, and Twitter was their means of an escape for it. So I just think
I guess we could flip it and we could say about them, why are we giving these people a chance? They've said something like, is it even necessary like to know this? You knew what you were doing. We were 15 years old. Are we actually going to allow you, now that you have this space and you are a person of influence, are we going to give you this blind now? Like, you're not necessarily cancelled, but I'm not saying that this is my opinion, but you've actually done shit and I don't agree with it. Do you see? You get me?
Yeah, because a lot of people come from the viewpoint that like at that age you know what you're doing, and I don't think it's a question of you know what you're doing. I think it's a question of have you changed since then?
Yeah.
Because it's not the same, but it is. But it's just somebody going to prison. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll do something wrong, and then it's a question of have you been reformed or are you the same person? And if you're the same person, then there's a problem. If you've been reformed, like personally, I think everyone can change. Like I'm sure, like isn't it literally like a part of the Bible that God will forgive you? Jesus forgives you.
Yeah.
Like
forgiveness is a key fundamental of the Christian faith. You are right, Mia.
Yeah. Like, and I just think I think a lot of it is hypocrisy, and I think even I've done it. I'll pick and choose. Like you'll let things slide from certain people and not, like for example Chris Brown, I'll still listen to his music, but R. Kelly, and I know it's not the same, but it is. Like R. Kelly, I'll not listen to him anymore, but Chris Brown, I'm like, oh, he's low-key got some money. So I think it's like I see an issue with myself because I will pick and choose like who I cancel.
Are they cancelled for you, Sarah, or are you kind of
But R. Kelly's definitely cancelled. I stand Rihanna, so like I'm not really like
Yeah,
don't really care for Chris Brown, to be
not too
honest.
much. Yeah.
I feel like with the whole Nella thing, like I do kind of sympathize with her. Like when I watched her YouTube video when she was talking about the fact that like it's kind of like an inward like self-hate thing she had from like childhood, which is what I noticed because as a child, like I lived in Guyana for a bit and then I came back when I was like 16, and when I came back I just felt like a lot of people kind of associated with different cultures, and like they weren't really proud to like be who they were, like stand in like their culture and stuff, which was kind of weird for me because like coming from a culture where everyone's really proud and like they stand in what they believe in, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. And like terms like blick were being used to me up to date. If I hear someone say that, like I take a mental note and I'm like, okay, you're weird. I see it as a derogatory word. Like, why would you use it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm looking blick. Like, you're darker. Like, why do you have to use that word when you know it's like negative? Like, it's never
Yeah, totally.
way. So, I genuinely do understand where she was coming from. So I feel like in terms of like the other people who were called out as well, I think, you know, when it's like you kind of expect something from some people, where it's like Nella, everyone loves her and she's like revered. So it's like this thing, everyone's like, oh my God, like as if that they kind
shock.
of be a bit more understanding.
And I think some of the things as well, right? It's like, what did you say about darker girls with eyelashes and all that?
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like, but at that point, she was probably saying that because she was young, because that's her now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really was just...
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing. What she embodies now is very different to what she was
saying
then.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of like, even... I know it's totally different, but you could say like when I was younger growing up, there are things that I would never wear because I'd be like, yeah, that's not for your body shape, or that's just not you, just face it. And now you kind of grow into something and like, what was I even thinking? Like, you just wouldn't do... That's a totally different mindset to what I had when I was growing up.
Yeah. And I think
so it's just growth, I suppose.
And I think people like at that age, I know we're saying like, oh, you know what's right and wrong, but you're also very easily led astray by like your peers and people around you. So like, I know for me, like if I look back at like who I was hanging around with and like not necessarily what I would say, but just how I would act, like even just in school, like I would just be like a little dickhead for no reason. And it's just like, I wouldn't do that now because you just want to fit in. You want approval from everyone around you. And obviously I'm not saying that's why she said it, but like it can definitely influence like the way you like come across like online, like, oh, this, let me hop on this, everyone thinks this is funny, let me do this. And I don't condone it obviously, but like I think the fact that she has like apologized for her actions and stuff, like fair enough.
And let's be real, there are a lot of... Oh, go on, Sarah, sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, compared to, like, other apologies that have happened when this stuff kind of comes out, like, that was really genuine. Like, she was very, like, open about, okay, this is what I said, here are the receipts. Yeah. And, like, genuinely sorry for it. So,
definitely
you can't really vilify her for, you know, apologizing. So, I don't know.
And there are so many people that are supposed to be cancelled and have been just let off. If we look at a couple of months ago, even years, Maya Jama is supposed to be cancelled, and people are right now singing her praises. So it's kind of like, who are we letting off and who are we not, and who are we going to bully even more? And it's like, I think people need to just, I don't know, not be so mean, and so why are you being so much hard on some people? And like you said, I guess, Sarah, it's because you didn't expect it from somebody like Nella Rose.
Yeah.
And so I guess you're a bit more disappointed, and it's like, what? Why? Like, it's just that kind of hurt feeling, which I guess.
I guess. Definitely some sort of like hurt, because you feel like she kind of embodies what we all stand for as Black women.
Yeah.
And this comes out and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. Wow. Really? Really, Bella? Really?
I know, it is a shame. But like, I also think like in this day and age, like, I mean, for me personally, like where I grew up, I wasn't aware of colorism, if that makes sense. Like I didn't understand like that was even a thing, because like I think when you're further up north, it's just like, if you're black, like that's it. Like I'm not even checking about shades or anything, like you're black. Like we're not even going to go into that deeper. So for me to now see that all these people have tweets, like it blows my mind a bit, because I could never imagine myself like tweeting about like a woman having darker skin than me and that being like an issue. But then I don't know if that's just because of where I've grown up and stuff, because then like, yeah, you see people like Maya Jama, Only Bells and Nella like tweeting about it, and I'm like, oh, this was really like a big thing. So I think even I have like, maybe not so much ignorance, because I'm very aware of it now, but like I couldn't ever imagine like knowing anybody who's tweeted stuff like that, if that makes sense. Like I just like I can't comprehend that that's like a funny thing, like a thing to do, but like
no, totally. But I think for me it is, and for me, like I could kind of grab onto you. I think in Trinidad it definitely was a thing and is a thing, but it's like in my mind I was like, nah, like why is it a thing? You know, I think I was like ignorant to the fact, like it sounds so bad on my part as well, because it was a thing, but you know when you're like, you don't want to believe that it's a thing, so it's like, no, people aren't actually going to be this way towards me because I am lighter. So it's like, oh, you know, when you're like, this is really true. But then as I got older, like in your mind you have to be like, no, it is real. Like,
yeah, and we've obviously
especially like with all the historical elements, it's like a very deep-rooted thing within our society. Like this is real.
Not just like our generation, it's definitely like generations beforehand.
Yeah,
like when I was younger, it was the thing, like I'd be playing in the garden with like my friends, and then people would be like, oh, you know, don't stay out in the sun too long, you're gonna get dark and stuff like that. But like my mum was always like, you're beautiful, do you know what I mean? She's always like instilled that in us, so that's never been a thing where I think like, oh, I need to be lighter. But definitely in the Caribbean, like there was that obsession with bleaching, which is still kind of a thing now.
it is, yeah.
Like Vybz Kartel singing songs about how his skin's pretty like a colouring book and all of that, because he bleaches skin and all of that. That's ingrained in the society. So I think it also does depend on your upbringing and your like surroundings, and you know, definitely like it starts at home, to be honest.
And I think we will. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think me and you, Rachel, will be more like ignorant to it, because we wouldn't have ever experienced the negative side of it. As like having lighter skin, like we will have only actually reaped the positives of it and never then thought to consider it from like a dark skinned woman's perspective.
Yeah, I know for a fact, Sarah, and I don't know, me I didn't, but I know other people did. I deleted my old Twitter because I was like, if anybody thinks that they're dragging me on this internet, they're wrong.
This whole thing came out, me and my sister literally like Googled up like our apps and like typed it in, and like the most stupidest stuff was coming up, like not even like bad stuff. I think I must have tweeted like, I don't care if you're like black, green, like whatever, like I love you, you love me, like some really cringy tweets from like 2013.
Oh my god, love is a rainbow.
Even like hate speech or anything like that. But you know, things that when you're younger and you don't think would be derogatory to anybody, so you say it and everybody was saying it, like, because you can see like PC speech has changed dramatically within the last few years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you could say things that nobody really. So like things that I wouldn't say now, I definitely wasn't like shocked to see back in the day. So anyway, I was just like, you know what? Just in case anybody pulls anything out, in case I get famous, do you know what I mean? I was like,
into existence.
Yeah, but I just don't want to sound too cocky on the internet. Do you know what I mean?
Silly.
So I'm like, let me just get rid of that. So yeah, just for safe measures, that's gone. So I've got one now, just a little low-key thing. But yeah, nobody's pulling me out from 2011.
I think like it's like you said, like I would tweet things that, like I said, it's not really, back then people were saying it, and now it's moved to a point where it's not politically correct, and I'm very much aware of that. Like I'll actually just say it. I used to say like fag quite a lot, like, which is
what did you say, Mia?
I know, which is terrible, and it's not funny. It's terrible, and like it's obviously offensive and not right to say it, but because when I was on Twitter in like secondary school, like everyone would be like, you da 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 da.
Yeah.
I would just tweet my friends and like custom saying it. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, I hate da da da. But like I was still using it and I shouldn't have been using it. And like I can absolutely admit that. And I think that's why a part of me with this whole cancel culture, I don't agree with it, because I can see it in myself that I've said things that I would never say now. Like it would like I said, it would never be like direct hate speech towards anyone. I would never do that. But like there were certain words that now I know are completely not appropriate to say.
And that's like, you know, when a lot of people say, oh, this whole politically correct thing, I hate it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I get it. You just say what you want to say. But also it's kind of like these things that we're not saying and we understand why we shouldn't say it is because it's derogatory to other people. So yeah, say what you want to say, but understand why it's wrong. So,
and I think you get that a lot with like the N-word. Like a lot of white people will say it, and then sometimes you literally just have to have a conversation and educate them and say, this is why you can't say that. And then their perspective has changed. That has happened to me before.
There are many words that you can say, like, why do you have to? Like, you really have to. Like, I don't even use it. I really don't even like the word.
It's mad.
I'm just like, why do you have to use it? I don't get it.
Do you know what?
So maybe PC is the wrong thing, like politically correct. So maybe it's just being nice. Maybe just being more user-friendly to the world.
The other day, so I retweeted something that had the N-word in it, and then a white girl retweeted it, and it made me feel a type of way. I was like,
there's some rage in you.
I was like, did you just say it but not say it?
I look at videos like 1,000 times when I see a song and somebody in it. I'm like, back. Did she see it?
Like literally, when I was like 18, I used to go to the club with my best friend, and then the N-word in, she would literally, the song comes on and she's like,
I would do that.
Everyone, she was with the fight. Like, she was not with it.
It was always when Kanye West Gold Digger came on. I'd be like,
well, my brother was telling me the other day, you know, that Chris Brown song, what up, ma?
Freaky Friday.
Well, he was like, where he goes to college, all those boys were saying it, and he just literally had to stop them in the middle of the club one night and was like, listen, you guys cannot say that part, like, just stop. If you do it, I'm going home. And they were like, what? That's the song. He's like, no, it can't happen. You need to just not. And they were like, okay. And then like the next week in college or whatever, he just had to explain to them, and they were just like, oh wow, Niall, didn't realize. And he was just like, yeah, just do it. Mad.
It's mad. It's actually mad. But yeah, so one last question. Do you think that people can change, or do you think that it's always going to be like a part of them forever?
I think people can change. Like, we're always evolving. I'm not the same person I was last week even. Like, there's so many facets to a person, and like as you grow older, if you recognize that what you're doing or have said in the past was wrong, and you're genuinely apologetic and you're moving forward in the right way, then I don't get why you would just completely cancel them. Unless it's something serious like R. Kelly's situation.
Yeah, that's like an action, like a continuous action, like a fucking state of being, rather than like tweeting.
There are so many weird ones, I think, like when it comes to cancel culture, and I agree with you with that one. I think these are ones from like when some people were younger, they said weird things. It's like, okay, and even if you retweet a joke, do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, I had a little giggle at that, retweeted, whatever, when you're maybe 19 or whatever. But then people are sometimes 25 and they do something really bad. And you have to remember, like, okay, maybe not going to bully them, but this was really something terrible. So maybe we let the higher powers deal with them rather than totally just exile them from social media and make them feel like complete shit about their lives.
Yeah, I think it's just a nasty cycle, isn't it? Because, like, if that person has acknowledged that they've done wrong, but you're then still trying to punish them, like where does it end? What are you trying to do? The whole point shouldn't be to punish. It should be to reform that person's way of thinking.
Yeah. And like we said, because they're influencers, they're getting it totally differently to how a regular person will get it.
Yeah, because you can go on Twitter and people are tweeting fucking mad shit, but because they're not at that level, it's not really going to come back to them. Like you said at the beginning, Sarah, it's all circumstantial.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh well, some people are going ham on these TikTokers now, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're like blowing up because of it, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
That whole TikTok thing is getting me mad. Like the racist
going
ones.
ham. Like, what is wrong with them? I just don't see what is wrong with them.
I can't even
It's so
speak on
weird.
it.
I know people like this younger generation. I have so much hope. I'm like, no. I feel like things are just getting worse because of social media sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I love
feel
it,
that.
but I'm like, what is going on with these other apps? Just keep me to Instagram, please.
Literally, I had to delete that. I was like, goodbye. Going to the
Like, when Instagram becomes not the thing, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, that's my time to roll.
No, that. Do you think Instagram will ever die out? It must,
It
won't
must,
it? It
because
will.
like BBM did, all those other things did. There's gonna be a point where it's just gonna be like trickle.
I don't know though. I personally think it's faultless. As a social media network, I think it's actually faultless.
I mean, I love it. It just keeps adapting, right? The filters. Remember the filters was shit? Look at them now.
I remember when they introduced stories, and I was like, ew, Snapchat already.
Me too. I was like, never. I was like, F this. Instagram could never. It's all about Snapchat. I was like, I'm never leaving Snapchat. Ask me when last I posted a story on Snapchat.
Mate, my Snapchat's done, deleted.
I don't even use that app anymore.
People say, have you got Snap? I'm like, no, I actually don't, and I'm not even lying.
Imagine asking somebody Snap now. I'm like, huh? Why?
What?
I was like, do you want my number or not? Snap.
Anyway, that was a lovely little chat, Sarah. Thank you for coming on. Do you have anything that you want to shamelessly plug?
My lip gloss.
Yes.
Oh, wait there.
How much you get it? We love to see it. Twitter.
We love to see it.
Let me just.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, right now, no. Embarrassingly.
So yeah, you guys gonna check out MYLBLVD on Instagram. Cute.
We'll put it in the caption.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Hello.
Well, thank you for giving us your opinion. We've had a lovely chat. And I think it would be nice to do another podcast with you sometime, but let me not get carried away.
Didn't realize I had that many opinions. I love it.
I know, right? I wish we should have just kept it to just you. Fuck the other guests.
No, don't do that.
I'm joking.
Don't do that.
Hi. I didn't see you there.
You sure did, you little liar. We are back, guys, and we are here with our good friend
Teza. Yo. What's good?
Blah, 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 blah. So this is our guest number 2, continuing our topic and conversation on cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Teza, I'm sure you've seen the tweets, the hullabaloo, the rants, the raves, the tweets, the arguments, the everything. What did you think?
Well, starting off, I think it's a bit childish, not gonna lie.
Childish.
Could you just say that again? Sorry, childish.
I think it's a bit childish.
Right.
Just simply because I feel in this time everyone's a little bit bored. So for people to search for tweets that other people have made in the past, I feel like it's planned. It's not something that they just came across on their social media or a topic has brought them to this situation. They've actively gone out and thought, yeah, I'm going to go and see what this person was like in a previous time.
Yeah.
To tell today, basically.
Yeah, it's very calculated. I said that with Sarah, who we just spoke to. Like, people have gone out of their way to find it. Like,
to bring somebody down.
They've literally, and I don't know what the account was called on Twitter, but there was literally an account like exposing everyone. It was like, it was weird. It was just like, okay, and today it's this person and this person and this, like, anyone can get it. So yeah, I agree with that. I think it was very childish and calculated, and like someone's gone out of their way to do it.
Totally. And what we were saying before to Tezra as well is like, it's not just, let's say I'm coming to you and saying, okay, yo, you did this, blah, blah. This is a massive amount of people going at one person, or let's say 10 people on that one night in particular, how many other people, and just totally attacking them for something that they did 10 years ago, perhaps, or 5 years ago, whatever. And that's not a nice thing. This everybody going at you, and not just for that one thing, because then you're calling them horrible names, really dragging them down for the person that they are, and that's cyberbullying.
Yeah, I think as well, what you need to understand is some of the people who have been targeted, they're not that old now. So when they sent out those tweets, like their life experiences or their headspace would have been completely different, because some of them are in the early 20s now. So if you're going back 10 years to someone who's in the early 20s, say you're 23, you're 13?
Yeah.
Come on, it's ridiculous. Everybody was still, the world was different, and everybody's sense of humor was different, and what was acceptable back then is different to now. So you can't really be upholding someone who's done something wrong that long ago, especially when it's something that is, it's like you can interpret it in any way you can. Like if it's a tweet, if it's somebody who's done something in the real life, like they've committed a crime or a murder or something, then you can hold them accountable for forever. But when someone's tweeted something recklessly that you probably don't even think there's going to be any consequences, then it's a bit harsh to like stick with someone.
And Twitter is a very judgmental place. Everybody thinks that they could just punish. There's like Twitter hierarchies.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, we say this, so everybody just comes under it and it's like, oh yeah, cool. So this person who has like this something K followers says this, so it goes viral. So this person has a viewpoint, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, wow, that makes so much sense. Because she says this, it's like, oh, rah, really?
People are so easy to follow like what somebody says, and like you said, if you're in a powerful position and you can say cancel them, people will listen. But then at the same time, like I feel like there's people that probably should be cancelled who haven't been. So like, you know, what's he called, Jeffree Star, the makeup guy, who was like found like racist or something, like saying like the N-word and all that. Like his makeup is still like doing numbers, like. And that's like you've clearly been racist. And I don't think that was even happened like a long time ago.
No, he was very much an adult.
Yeah, so I think it's like if you are gonna cancel, then you need to stick to it. But like people just, and I said it before, like I do it myself. Like you pick and choose, and like there's some things where you're like, oh, that's too much. Like yeah, they're cancelled. Or sometimes it's like, oh right, okay, like we can let that slide. And I think it's just like, I don't know, the whole thing of just cancel culture, it's just like you're never giving people a chance to learn from their mistakes. You're just saying like that's wrong, like bye.
I know, yeah, and like with all these things you can go on at somebody, and we talk about it all the time, how much social media can affect somebody's mental health. And let's look at Caroline Flack, for example. It's a horrible thing when you attack somebody like this, and we say it, but do we actually mean it?
Yeah.
You know, like we're attacking Nella Rose, we're attacking all these people saying these things. Yeah, let's cancel them. Like, no, she shouldn't have this. Like Nella Rose lost 70,000 followers in one day. This is her bread and butter.
Yeah.
The things that she does on the internet. I'm sure she has other things as well, but you see where I'm coming from. And so when we as a community, a social media community, say these things about somebody and yeah, she's cancelled, what she did, she should, blah, 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 blah. Are we actually taking these people's mental health and the way that they feel into consideration by just saying, nah, fuck that, she has to go? Like,
yeah, sure. I think also another thing is you almost forget about all the good that people have done. So you take on board this one moment or this act or tweet, whatever it is, and then that replaces all the good they've done. So they can say something that happened 5-6 years ago, and that's all you start like associating them with. You just automatically think, oh yeah, every time I'm gonna think of this person, I associate them with that one act that was done probably from, like I said, a point of view that they don't even have anymore.
And I'm sure we're not alone. I'm sure you probably said some wild stuff when back in the day on Twitter.
Of course. I was going through my old tweets.
Yeah, I think that's what it's done, you know, it's made people think like, shit, what have I been saying?
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't really say anything too reckless. There was just not things that would like people would look at me funny for, but things that were probably more accepted as funny in 2012 and 13 when like the meme era started.
Yeah.
Certain jokes were in. It was just trendy to jump on them. So.
And they're not really funny now, right?
Yeah, they're not
People
as
be
funny
like,
now because you look back and you go, wasn't really that funny. But like
yeah,
people are viewing how they think now from this lens now
defo.
to backwards.
So
It really makes sense.
there was I can't remember who it was, but there was quite a lot of surfaced from like black men about like rape tweets, and I personally don't think they caught the same smoke that like Nella Rose and other people did. I don't know if you saw them, but like, do you think that those people should be cancelled, or do you think it's the same applies, but like it's probably not the same viewpoint anymore?
That one's a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I think with those kind of tweets or that kind of thinking, once again, it varies with the times, but also it depends on the individual. So I think if that individual has a history of maybe making those kind of comments or has some kind of reputation that alludes him to be that way inclined, then they can have backlash. But I'm not like condoning it, but again, like there's other comedians who have made jokes that are actually funny. Like I'm not condoning it, obviously, but around those kind of topics, and when you actually strip back and you think this is a comedian doing it through their craft, you accept them and you allow them just because it's from like a purely comedic point of view. But then obviously it's a lot harder when it's just the everyday regular person.
Yeah, and I am again something that you wouldn't do now, but you've done, and you know when you've Facebook pops like your little memories up and whatever. And this is probably, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. And I put the fire truck joke. And I'm not a comedian, but I thought I friggin' was by putting this, right? And it's a matter of, okay, if somebody's touching your leg, say fire truck when you want them to stop. And it's like, okay, yeah, the girl says fire truck. Yep, psych, a fire truck doesn't actually stop. And I was like, oh my God, why would I even say it? Do you get it? Like, the higher it goes, meaning like the guy's not actually going to stop because the fire truck is going to keep going.
Oh.
Yeah, terrible. And I was like, back in the day, I thought that was hilarious. And like now, I'm like, that is not funny at all. Like, if somebody's not... So these are just things that... It's like, would I tweet that now? Never.
Yeah.
Like, would I even think that's a joke? No. But it's
I
like...
I feel like Tessa badly froze then.
Oh, I was like...
I was stressed.
Guys, we had a bit of a technical issue then. Tessa's internet was being an op, as he said in his words.
It was being an op indeed.
Tessa, you like froze for ages like this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Rachel's in the middle of speaking last time, and then next minute it just stopped. But I could hear her still, but everyone was just like this, and I was like,
you were like, is that me or is that them?
yeah, so I was kind of looking, I was like, why is, like, I can hear but no one's moving kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it was definitely you. It's more of like a, it's me, not you.
It's like, that's a you problem.
I agree. I apologize to the people.
No, it's fine. We're back now, and yeah, point is really and truly like, you'd say things when you were younger, and you can see your personal growth, like things that you would say you definitely would not say now, and you wouldn't even think about it because you realize how detrimental and how much of a bigger deal they are. Like, it's not a laughable matter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my opinion, anyway.
One thing that I will say that kind of goes back to what Tessa was saying about like comedians.
Yeah.
So like, you know when the whole Maya Jama thing came out?
Yeah.
And there was a tweet about like dark-skinned women.
Yes.
And she was laughing at it because like I think it was quoted from a Kevin Hart like comedy stand-up thing. But obviously like she took the smoke because like she'd quoted it and laughed at it. but I think it's interesting that like we kind of give it a pass for comedy. Like that's like she caught the smoke, but they weren't actually her words.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
obviously it's not funny to laugh at that kind of stuff, but like nobody was doing the fucking let's cancel Kevin Hart like
No.
type of thing. And I just think it's quite interesting that like there's a very interesting line between comedy and offensiveness, and then obviously some comedians will cross that line and some won't. So I just think that's quite a area.
A grey area.
I think with comedians, they know the people because they don't always just go for one target. They go for everybody. Comedians, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't know, why must you go for a race and say this? And so you would sometimes giggle and you're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But it is sometimes a bit awkward. You're like, maybe you shouldn't say that.
I think that's what can make a good comedian is when they don't have to do that to be funny.
Yeah.
They can kind of maybe laugh at themselves, or they can laugh at like, you know, ones where it's like situations that everybody's been in, like like silly little things. I think
rather than actually owning in on one thing.
Rather than mocking like as a group itself.
Totally, yeah, I agree. But as for the rape thing, do you think that they have changed and people can change from that, or do you think that's too much of a serious topic and situation?
Again, it's tricky because I haven't specifically seen the tweets that you're talking about. So I feel like if you mention that subject just objectively, then you're like, no, it's a no-go area. I'm not saying like it's not a no-go area, but like there's ways to have conversations about certain topics. And obviously that kind of topic, if you kind of make light of it or make a joke of it, then it's easy for anybody to take it, well, not take it the way you intended to come across. Like you might think it's a little bit of banter or whatever, but like depending on what they say, how it's said, that kind of topic, the majority of people are just going to be, they're not going to entertain that kind of.
Yeah, they're just not going to want to hear it. Yeah,
they're not just going to want to hear it. So obviously, like, I'm not saying that I need to see what was said to then enable whether what was said was good or bad. But a topic like that's one of those topics that you shouldn't really touch anyway, just because you're testing too many waters. That that kind of topic is relatable for anybody. So some topics are only relatable for Black people or for women or for men or whatever, but that is relatable for anybody. So once you go down that realm, unless you're really, really, really funny and you can get away with it, then
I just think it should never be touched on. And I think for some people it can be very like triggering as well, especially if as a woman you've experienced that. Like to see somebody like God forbid I ever do, but like to see somebody joking about it must be like a horrible thing to have to see and be like just quite sickening, I think. So I think it should just be like a no-go area, like completely.
There are a few things like that. I feel like you just stay away. Like you don't need to always try and actively make a joke out of something that you already know before you even make this joke. This can go in two directions. Like a lot of jokes that it's not funny, but no one's really going to be bothered.
But I think some people don't even think that deeply about it, do they? They're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, this. I'm not even going to say the thing that they say, but they're just like, oh yeah, whatever. People aren't going to be offended by this. It made me laugh. I'm going to say it, and you're just like, what? Like, why is that even coming out of your mouth? Like,
sometimes you just have to keep it to yourself. But also sometimes I think it's good when these people
out themselves,
because it shows their true colors, and it's like, especially when it's on a subject like that. And if it is like, and it isn't something that was maybe tweeted years ago, it's like right now in the present. It can be like, all right, well, you're clearly a very rotten apple. Like, we need to stay away from you as a person.
Yeah, definitely. And you're probably not the right person that we should be having and like I say, holding on a pedestal because you are somebody in the limelight. So maybe you are somebody that we should kind of not cancel, but not somebody that we should be holding in such high regard as one of our celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they should be accountable. for like
yeah, hold them accountable for their actions. Definitely.
That's exactly it. And I think if you're willing to provide an apology and acknowledge that you were wrong, then okay. But if you're just like who was it? Young Ads from DBE, like literally just like before anyone could find shit, he deactivated his Twitter. Like straight away. Like he didn't even give anyone the chance.
He knows he tweets shit then.
So then it's like, like
a problematic guy.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like what are you hiding?
Bringing up someone like Young Ads, for example, that's actually a really good example. He's known for like taking lean, ecstasy, Molly. Do you know what I mean? So at the best of times, he's probably not even thinking clear. I'm not using it as a like defender.
Yeah.
But like he's the type of person that he's probably not actually sober.
Yeah.
99% of the time. So he may take things in a way that is completely different to the average person who's probably thinking clearly. So him is probably thinking, right, there's no way I can defend myself because he might have a catalogue of just saying mad stuff, but in actual reality, he's not.
And then you have to ask the question, like, should he be cancelled because he's looking guilty, but you've actually got nothing on him, if that makes sense? Like, there's no actual hard evidence, but it's like a guilty man wouldn't run from the scene of a crime.
Yeah.
Or would run from the scene. I don't know. But you get me.
But then you can say that, but then that's like a lot of people have deleted their tweets from back in the day, like from 2008 backwards. I deleted my Twitter because I know I said things that might be considered problematic. But it's not even, it's just things that I would say when I was younger, and I knew people would not want to see those things. I'm just like, do you know what? To cover my back, I'm out.
Definitely. And sometimes, like, I'll like a tweet, and I'm like, yeah. And then I'll go into the comments, and someone will say something that has completely changed my mind. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'm like, unlike. So do you know what I mean? Like, you can actually change your opinion so fast. Like, even just deleting tweets that like I've tweeted like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, that's silly.
Or if you like a tweet and then you like the comment in between, and you're like, okay, I'm liking this, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll agree with the tweet above. I'm liking it because it's just like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just like things sometimes. I said, but somebody's going to think I like this because I'm this kind of person. She's like, oh, I have to be so careful with my likes. Oh my God, what is social media coming to?
Yeah, I don't like that whole, you've got to, like, I don't want to get to the stage where people feel like they need to be on the straight and narrow all the time because they're going to be judged. Because I know that I like things, but I literally like things on Twitter, but I'm not liking them because I actually, like you said, agree with it. I'm liking as a reference to go back to it later, or for example, like I need to use it as to show someone, or like it would just remind me of a topic. So a lot of the things I like, I just do that so other people will be able to see, or I retweet it so other people will be able to see it. It's not necessarily a point of view of mine.
Yeah, I get that.
And I think that's such like what you said there about straight and narrow is such a good thing, because like we are human. Like I don't think there's going to be one person who's like not done anything bad, said anything offensive to somebody out there. Like we do make mistakes. Like that is like a fundamental part of like being human. It's whether you learn from those mistakes or you don't care.
Continue making the same mistake. But...
Yeah.
And just to touch up on that, some of the what like I might think is a mistake, you might not think is a mistake, because my understanding of it is different to yours. So
totally,
what I've been brought up with, or what like I've been conditioned with, or what my surroundings say is correct, may not be the same as your surroundings. So
definitely,
that's made me laugh, because like some of these people that have been caught out, there'll be some of them are like, oh my God, yeah, that was terrible, my bad, like, you know what, accept my apology. And there are some people that are like, nah, fuck that, you're not going back and looking at my old tweets, nah, you're like dickheads, like I'm not taking that. And it's just like, whoa, okay. Like we see like the different types of personalities. They're not accepting their wrongs, they know they're wrong, but they still don't want to accept it. Like there's never going to be a one size fits all for everybody. Some people are super defensive, don't want to accept it. It's just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, definitely. there's a whole array, isn't there,
Yeah.
of attitudes towards it.
Yeah. But they're cancelling the most apologetic. Weird.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't feel people should actually get cancelled, even though there's good people, bad people. Because I always think of things, there's always the good with the bad. So if you don't get the bad, you don't then appreciate the good, or you don't have these things happening. You don't really have the conversation or the room to then say, okay, they did it like that. I shouldn't do it like that. Do you know what I mean? You need other people to, sometimes you need, well, you make mistakes yourself, but you need other people to make them mistakes. So then you can then go, you know what? Right. That's not the path, the platform or the pathway I should do it. Now I'm able to like completely change the future, basically.
No, totally. And like, again, who are we to be cancelling people?
Yeah. I hate that, the whole notion of that, because it's like, who gives someone the moral right to cancel someone else? Like am I higher, well, not higher, but like, yeah, am I of a higher regard than you to say you can't do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it just gives people that
Don't get me wrong, I do think it's like applicable in some cases, like we said before, like with like things like R. Kelly and shit like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's so necessary, but like when it is just like it is an old tweet and somebody has acknowledged it and apologized and they have changed, then I do think that cancelling is just too far. But at the same time, I do think that there are tweets that I know are wrong but would forgive, whereas some people wouldn't. Like, I could completely understand if a darker skinned woman didn't want to accept that. Do you know what I mean? Because they have been like the victim in this.
Yeah.
So I can completely understand why somebody would say like
Hashtag cancelled.
Yeah, like that's not okay, bye.
People love that, don't they?
Hashtag cancelled.
Nah, I agree with what Mia was saying about like understanding that, because I try and just put my headspace into like what was fun, not funny, but like what was more socially acceptable then to now. Because I remember there was a phase and era on like Instagram, Twitter and stuff, like team light skin versus team dark skin, all that kind of stuff. So like that kind of paved the way for like that kind of, well, it's not banter really, but it was seen as banter then, like the whole kind of colorism debate.
For sure. And if you look at representation now, that has not always been around. When you look at it, it's a lot more prevalent in today's society. If you look at TV, advertisements, just Instagram in general, social media, and that hasn't always been there. So you could just see, okay, in the past few years, teenagers, young adults, even kids are starting to see people that look more like them and can appreciate that, you know, that kind of self-love or appreciation for self more. While back in the day, it's kind of like, okay, you can hear people saying things about yourself and there's a deep-rooted underlying issue of, you know, even that against yourself, because it's not there. You're seeing it just everywhere in society.
Yeah.
And so we can kind of understand, exactly what you
we've
said.
definitely come far in terms of representation and like and a change of viewpoints, and the whole team light skin versus dark skin is so problematic in itself, and it's such an issue in the Black community that still needs to be improved and focused on and highlighted, that colorism is like a big thing. But I think it is small steps, and like minds can be changed and opinions can differ.
And like what Rachel was saying, the representation thing is really important, because I know even that far ago, say like 2014, 15, like those kind of jokes that were in were easier to get away with, because you don't have even people just like Michael Dapper or more of the comedian stuff, as like they've used their social media platforms now, they're like actual like entertainers, comedians and stuff. There wasn't really that. That was when it was starting, like early 2000s to come along. So like there was no kind of person you could look up to that made it accessible to where you're thinking, actually, like I am actually someone of influence. so my words matter. Because when these people probably making these comments, etc., they probably weren't thinking anything of it. They were just
They
like,
never would have expected to be in the
Exactly.
position they're in, like, at all.
I'd like, you only get dragged once you get to a position of power or influence
You
or
see,
fame.
you see somebody doing gun, you want to pull them down.
Exactly. Like, if you really, okay, obviously it's different. They're on a bigger platform so more people can see it. But if someone like 1,000 followers did something today, the exact same thing, tweeted the exact same thing as someone who had 100k followers, that person with 100k followers will get more backlash than the person with
Yeah,
100.
definitely.
Yeah,
just because of sheer like influence and audience that it appeals, which is a bit mad.
And it's true. And Mia, you know that thing that was on Guap magazine,
Yeah.
and they were saying about like even when Lemonade came out, how much that did for Black girls, and that's so true. And that's only within the past couple of years.
It is slow progress, but it's progress still.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna add.
Keep going, honey.
Oh well, let me even. I shouldn't even be plugging it because they ain't my sponsors or anything. But FIFA 20, the track list on this. Sorry, it was just right next to me. So, the track.
Where's this going?
No, okay, it's representation.
Okay.
So the track list on this. So I've been playing FIFA since I was a kid. So when I was a kid, they used to have all these like indie songs, and the music was just basically like pop culture, but like songs you never heard of. But like the track list of this year's FIFA is like P Money, Gets, Kano, Skepta, Novelist, Storms.
Oh wow!
And I remember hearing it, and I was like, what's this? And then someone was like, it's the FIFA track list. I was like, don't stop lying to me. Like, it's never been like this. So like the shift is actually coming in with.
Yeah, that is sick.
And even like it's even in the weirdest areas like that, like a fucking PlayStation game or whatever. Like, and it's such a small thing, but a very big thing at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's
how many people will play FIFA. And like the songs that I know from like 2010 that I would have never listened to, but because it was on the track list, like it's in my head. And then I consciously, when I hear the song or see the artist, I'm like, oh yeah, takes me back to a good time. So now there's people going to be growing up or whatever playing those games where they'll be playing.
It will put a whole new generation on to that kind of music and that kind of culture and everything to do with it.
And that is lovely, you know.
Yeah. So big up to them.
Big up to them. Anyway, thank you, Tezza, for your 2 cents on the topic today. It's been lovely. And Tezza, if you didn't know, is from the Front Left podcast as well. So
shout out Front Left.
Woo woo, we miss our Front Left.
Yeah, and love to Trey and love to Josh.
I actually had a dream about Trey the other night.
Yeah. Jeez. Hold on. Wait 1 second. Can you just?
I don't know why I bait myself out like this.
You just say what you just said.
I had a dream about Trey the other night.
I had a dream about Trey. Yeah.
And then I remembered that he likes white girls. So.
Mia, why did it have to go there?
Anyway,
Tessa, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. You know, it's always love.
Anytime.
We love
you. And we'll see you soon. Guys, so we're back now with our 3rd and final guest, Maya. Hello, Maya.
Hello.
Oh, that sounded lovely.
Hello. We actually disturbed Maya from a lovely rest.
So we've just been discussing because Maya's sleep pattern is pretty backwards.
Yeah,
or forwards for some people.
We just don't know because
maybe I'm ahead of time.
Yeah, we don't actually know what time is because we're at this point now where we don't even know if time is real.
Exactly.
I personally, it's not.
Discussion on Go Off this podcast.
Yeah. Definitely.
Anyway, so today we've been talking about cancel culture, the whole kind of explosion that's recently happened on Black Twitter, and we've just kind of been wanting to see what everyone's opinions are and just kind of discuss it. So I'm sure you have seen the
the stuff.
And then Also, we saw that you voted on our thing, and I'm not going to say the name, but yeah. So does that mean what you voted? You're kind of like, no, we're not giving them chances. They could actually fuck off.
I can't remember what I voted or what the thing was. Like,
Okay, so
oh,
you
you mean
Crimea River?
wait, what?
Just on our thing to choose a name.
Oh yeah. What did I vote again?
Crimea River.
No. I remembered it was the one on the left, but I can't remember what it said.
Yeah, so you
so
said
funny.
Crimea River.
Maya just literally pressed the button. She didn't even think about it.
No, I did. Listen. My head right now is scrambled egg. Like, I don't actually... If it happened in the last 10 seconds, I don't remember it.
That's okay. So it was Crimea River or That's Not Me. And you said Crimea River. So basically, are you saying, like, you can Crimea River, we're not giving you a chance, like, you're out of here?
No, I just think that people aren't... I think people don't think enough about how much they've changed as a person. So they use that as an excuse when really nothing's changed. So their apology is, oh, I'm sorry, I've changed. And I'm thinking, how much could you have actually... Because the things that they've said, this isn't even necessarily just rooted in the situation that happened like the other day or whatever, but in cancel culture in general. Like, for you to have such a deeply rooted opinion on something and then come and say like, oh, that's not me anymore, I've changed, and to expect us to all be like, okay, fine, and then go back to normal, I think it's very far-fetched. So in that sense, like, literally Crimea River, because when I see that you've changed, then okay, like, cool, we can move on. But you come out and say like, oh, everyone's mad at me, so I'm going to tell them that I've changed as a person, like that, I literally go Crimea River, because I don't care. You're more mad that you're losing support and you're losing money and you're losing like credibility and your representation and everything is crumbling. That's what you're scared of. You're not so much actually apologetic for what you've said and how many people you may have hurt. You're saying I've changed, so that people will be like, oh, they've changed, so it's fine, we can continue supporting them. You're not saying I'm sorry for what I've done. That doesn't matter. Like, you're just apologizing and using you change as an excuse, I guess. And I can't see any change in you, so I don't.
So I like what you said there, where it's like you've said you've changed, but we can't see you've changed. So like, for example, let's say Nella Rose. Like, we've talked about Nella Rose quite a lot in this episode, but she's obviously quite in the center of this whole thing.
She's topical at the moment, isn't she?
Obviously she had her tweets from however many years ago, and then she's obviously made this video apologizing and saying like, this is the crack, this is what's happened. I think where I would forgive her is because I do think she has changed, and what she embodies now is very different. Would you agree with that and say that that is somebody where you can actually see a change?
See, with that, I don't even think that's so much a change of character, but a change of like time. Saying time because what is time? But like, so I saw a tweet, I think it was Leomi Anderson, and she said, in that time, like 2000, between like early 2010s, when everyone was hating black women and dark-skinned women, it was easier for dark-skinned women to join in on the joke than to laugh that.
Than to be the butt of the joke,
Exactly. So in that sense, Nella could have been tweeting these things and not even 100% believing them herself, but just thinking, if I join in, people won't come for me personally. So for her, in her apology, if I didn't even watch the full apology, but even if she didn't say I've changed, that wouldn't matter to me, because her saying it is different to a black man saying these things that were said, because Nella herself would have been saying them just so that it would have taken the weight of her shoulders in terms of
it's a very different thing, and it's like you say, it's no one size fits all in situations like this.
Exactly. And I think that it would have been more of a weight of her shoulders if she joined in on the joke than became the butt of it. So I don't think that's so much about her change of character, but about changing of time, where she could suddenly, like, she didn't have to joke about it anymore because she could accept herself. The world allowed her to accept herself.
Yeah,
definitely.
In terms of other people, I'm not even seeing apologies from men saying that black women are gorillas and cockroaches and they deserve this and they deserve that. I'm not seeing apologies from those people.
Yeah.
This is what I've said, and this is what is pissing me off, is that these women have caught all the smoke for it, and they're at the forefront, and there's not been, from what I've seen, I mean, it might have happened and I've missed it, but a lot of that from men. Like, I'm not seeing apologies. I'm seeing, if anything, confirmation of their kind of their thought beliefs because of that.
They're mad that people are going back and getting their things. They're like, what the hell? They're saying horrible things to other people for going back and getting their tweets, and it's just like you're just seeing their bad character shining even more.
Yeah, basically. And I think that there's this thing with how men can get away with so much, and that in every, I don't want to say hierarchy, but in a hierarchy of injustice, women are always last. So even it's like,
say, girl, just can you say that again? In every hierarchy of injustice, women are always last.
Women are always last, because you can be like, so say you've got all of these minorities in any sense. You can be a black man, you're still going to get treated better than a black woman. You can be a gay man, you're still going to get treated better than a gay woman. Like, if you're anything, any sort of minority and a male, you're still going to be treated better than if you were that minority and a woman. Women are always at the bottom of everything. So this whole thing started because of that girl's husband, fiance, like people finding his tweets and then finding all these men's tweets. And then one person found a few of Nella Rosa's tweets that, even if I can say they weren't even that bad in comparison. That bad in comparison. But she's the one that's in BBC News articles, and she's lost her verification, and she's lost 70,000 followers, and everyone's going on Nella Rose. And I think if it was a man with a platform of that size, not even half of that would have happened. It would have been swept under the rug and like silenced. And the excuse that, oh, all the other people that tweeted about it and stuff don't have the same platform is air, because
bullshit. Because you've got I've said it already, Mr. Exposed from whatever, like most of the time people were quoting his tweets.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I might have missed it. I haven't seen shit from him. And I think he will continue to have his platform and go on with his fucking I mean.
I'm glad you said about the BBC article, because me and I were talking about this. And we just think, like, obviously it was a black girl who wrote the article of BBC.
I didn't find out today, actually.
Was it BBC the actual place to put something like that out? And was it, what was the caption? Black girls love yourselves, or something like that. And I feel like really it's making it seem as though black girls do not actually love themselves, when it's actually, rather than putting a different, just kind of like a what is it when you're trying to get an article to really sell? Clickbait in a sense, because like, no, that's not what's going on right now.
That's not the problem. Yeah,
it's tweets that were outed.
Yeah.
So why are you twisting it like that?
I think it may be there may be a bias in me because I'm not a fan of London culture, but I find that in London, and not even UK, but London culture, London black Twitter culture, like there's this thing with black women tearing each other down to get to some sort of top spot. And when it's come to things like this, I remember when all these tweets came out and people were saying like, oh, Nella and her shit makeup, and Nella and her shit this, and how dare blah, blah, blah. And suddenly we love Nella stay strong, mental health is so important. And I'm thinking, people will do whatever it takes to be the top person, even if that includes tearing women down and then stepping on them to make sure that they're seen. And I think that's what's happening with Nella right now, and I don't think that's fair to use her for that. Like, if your intention for this article was to show what's happening and give black women the voice that they need, you could have done that without dragging other black women down, but you chose.
Yeah, and I just think like it's just not really. I don't think it came from a place of, like, I get that, like you said, it was a black woman who wrote it, but the BBC putting it out there, I just don't think it came from a good place, because I just don't. I think the BBC a lot do they're
Very
tapped in
precious.
themselves.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that if anything, it's almost like, hey, everybody, look at all the black people, they hate
Yeah, look what's going on
themselves.
Black Twitter. Let's have a look at this.
Exactly.
Yeah, like come and get a look at these guys, like they're fighting like idiot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
doesn't sit very well with me.
Exactly.
And I just think, and again, like you said about like black Twitter and London Twitter, I see it a lot as well. And with the whole Nella thing, the second it all dropped, all I was seeing was girls being like, oh yeah, Nella, with your white eyeliner, maybe you can put that in the bin. And then people going about her mum who passed away, like people will hit so low, and then like you said, as soon as it's then the cool thing to uplift again, they'll go against everything they've said and uplift them.
Yeah.
And then also when people come on and start talking about how much this has affected them, they wonder why. And you're like, what? Because you were literally going in on her, bullying her, saying horrible things, and you wonder why people are suffering now. Hello?
Exactly.
Do you want me to pull up some of your tweets?
Exactly.
You were saying horrible things.
Exactly. And I think as soon as people realize that they are the problem, I think it will be easier to sort of dissect how to solve it. But because everyone's in denial and thinks that everyone else is bad vibes and they're the good vibes, it's literally just constant downfall. Like no one can get anywhere because everyone's just going around in circles with this kind of thing. But
it is that's literally what it is, round in circles. And even outside of this whole situation that's just erupted, like I think it's just the same thing over and over again, but a different person at the center.
Literally.
But I think this time it has had quite a big like blow up just because of the severity and like what, like obviously like Nella's lost all them followers, she's lost her blue tick. Like I think it's then you have to question like, okay, maybe
I didn't even know you could lose a blue tick.
Yeah.
Because I've seen other people do much worse things.
That's what people are saying. Katie Hopkins has been doing a madness for how many years? She's been suspended, she's done whatever, never lost her verification.
So many other things have been cancelled, lost radio shows, I'm not even going to go into it, but lost a lot of things, lost a lot of followers, don't get no gigs, and they still have a blue tick. So I'm like, hello, how are you losing? People must
it's the whole thing of like,
Twitter, and we're like, she needs to go.
Yeah,
I know, and it's like one. If you're going to take her blue tick, then you need to take everyone else who's done something of that level. But that's clearly not going to happen. And like you said, Katie Hopkins, like people like that are still allowed to freely speak on stuff and not face repercussions. So
exactly. I just don't think cancel culture works, and I don't think it's. I think everyone knows it's a force, but I don't think everyone uses it for the right reasons.
No, I think we said this. Go ahead, Mia.
I was just going to say, I think sometimes it's almost used as an excuse to pull down somebody who is doing well and doing good things. Yeah, exactly. Because really and truly, like Nella Rose, I would say, was one of the most unproblematic people out there, and she did a lot for Black women.
Yeah.
And now it's like you said before, Rachel, with Tezza, like they'll pull you down, like they see you doing good, and it's like,
yeah, they see anything that they can do to just grab. And that's kind of like you were saying, Maya, it's like crabs in a barrel. So they see you kind of rising to the top. It's like, okay, how can we try to grab onto you, but you're just getting them down at the same time. It's not really a helpful process. But I think sometimes we can live in a bubble. So when you're able to see women uplifting women, or just anybody, people around you being supportive and whatever, so sometimes you don't realize that people are actually around you trying to not see you do good.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wow, there are actually people who don't want to see you succeed in this life. There are actually people who will search your Twitter name and see a terrible thing, and you're like, wow, okay.
Literally, evil eye is such a thing that people don't even think of, and it can even be the people that are pretending to support you or that are like close around you that literally want the opposite for you. And I think it's bad that, so say me, there are so many like small things I'm like doing, but until it's confirmed, I'm not saying a word because I don't know who's wishing what on me. Like, and I think that the fact that that's a thing, like vibes are just wrong. Like,
and I think I see such a difference in my Instagram compared to my Twitter, just because like, obviously Instagram, it's like you choose who to follow, whereas Twitter, like it's very easy for stuff to be put onto your feed through a retweet, and like. Again, going back to the whole like Black Twitter thing, like there's the way women pull each other down on there is just like
horrible.
It's mad. And like I can't remember what it was, but there was a girl and like, oh, I can't remember, but like it was just it just starts another eruption, and then it's just can be so trivial, like even these whole fucking sprinkle cake, tray bake, all of that, like.
Even recently there was a girl, I think she's from my area, and I didn't even clock, but she posted a video and she's like singing along to something or whatever, and then some girl quote tweeted it and was like, "Oh, just post your boobs and go." And then
Yes,
there's all these women that are like, "Yeah, she's not even all that. Oh, she doesn't even know the word. Oh, she's bare hating on her." And so many people are agreeing with her, and it's like it takes one person for all these hateful people to come out
to show themselves, to feel confident enough.
Exactly. And then
to
you go
hate on somebody,
and they're retweeting and tweeting things about the UK being bad vibes and they can't be around bad vibes. You are the bad vibes. You are the bad vibes.
Literally,
these are the people that are going to be in their room. You know that thing where it's like they're going to be in their room like burning sage with the windows closed, demons just running around your room. You don't even realize you are the bad vibes. Like how are you on Twitter 1 minute dragging women down and not letting them literally just post their video and like live their life?
Yeah, sometimes, you know what, just bite your tongue. Not everything needs to be said.
Exactly.
Like, okay, you might sometimes have a thought and you're just like, rah, was that necessary? But you don't need to go on the internet and be like, do you know what, your outfit is actually shit. Why would you post that?
Do you know
sometimes just let it go. Let people do them.
Sometimes that people have taken like gossiping and bitching and made it into this really taboo, scary, horrible thing that girls do. But I would genuinely rather you send my video to your friend and make that comment than you post it and have all these people join you. And I think people always tweet things like, oh, like girls that like gossip too much or bitch too much or such bad vibes or whatever. But more time, they're not doing it maliciously. Because if I have a bad comment in my head, I'll either keep it in my head, or if I say it to someone that's like-minded, it's not going to hurt anyone as much as if I tweet it to drag this woman down and have this collection of women swarm in and drag her down with me. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not advocating like, oh, everyone bitch about people, like, yeah, let's go gossip.
No, I totally get you though, because you're not doing this in a massive group, bullying someone, laughing at somebody, saying this person is this, saying this.
Yeah.
A quick get off your chest, boom. I'm not really feeling this outfit. Wouldn't be something I would wear compared to, oh, what the, yeah.
Exactly. And that whole thing of dragging other women down, like publicly for all these people to join you and then getting clout off of it. Like clout is one hell of a drug, because why?
You telling me you get one tweet and I get that viral tweet again, you know?
That day.
Mia's like, you're telling me? I'm thinking of my tweet still.
That day that everything was coming on, I came off Twitter for a day because all those comments about dark-skinned women, it hurt so much. And it brought back so much from when I was in school and moving around a lot. It was horrible. I was literally off Twitter the whole day because I was like, I don't want to have to come into like and like bring this and like hold this for like the whole day. Like, and I think social media breaks are so important because we don't realize how much we're internalizing when we're scrolling, reading all this hate and all these comments.
Definitely.
It's just horrible.
We were saying that to Tessa before, that was our guest before you. How triggering some of these things could be. It wasn't particularly the one about dark-skinned women, but sometimes these things could just be triggering for different people, and it's like just bringing up all these things from the past and all that. It's just like people aren't concerned about how the things that they're doing on social media are affecting other people.
Yeah,
it's like, think about that sometimes.
Yeah, when people write things and send them, they're not thinking about how it could affect other people. And I think there is definitely a level of like people take things too seriously and things like that. And there's a difference. There's a very fine line, but there is a difference between you saying something that's like a little bit of a risky joke and saying something that's literally offensive and harmful.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes say things that are rude or offensive or literally just hurtful, and they try and pass it off as, oh, people are too sensitive, like whatever. No, what you said was just racist. Like,
you can't say anything these days.
Yeah, people are so politically correct. No, you're just being offensive. You're just kind of rude. Sometimes think about it.
Literally, I talk shit all day, every day, and I don't hurt people. So how are you Struggling.
Totally, because I do not think I am politically correct at all. Like, I chat, you know what I mean? Like, and I laugh at terrible, but do you know what? I'm not going to go around saying things to hurt people at all.
It's not
When somebody
malicious.
says things, I will pull up people, because I'll be like, actually, that's not really how it goes.
Yeah.
Unless somebody says something, so like you say, you'll take a little mental note and you're like, okay, right, so let me see if that person will say something again.
Yeah.
Oh, you called it the Chinese virus. Give me,
Yeah.
okay, let me see if you're going to say that again. You
And
thought that
with
was
me,
funny?
even I'll note that you've said it and I'll pull you up on it. And if you then do it again, I'm thinking this is your character. It wasn't a mistake. It is your character.
Yeah.
I had a friend. We were walking through like a town center, and there was a billboard. And then there was like 2 white girls, a light skinned girl, and a dark skinned girl on there. And he was like, "Oh, the white girl, something, 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 and the black ting, blah blah blah." I was like, "Why did you say white girl and black ting?" And then he was like, "Yo, that's crazy. I didn't even clock I was doing that. Like, sorry, like, whatever, whatever." And now from then, that was over a year ago. He's never done it again, like ever. But meanwhile, there are other people that you'd say that and they'd be like, "Oh, like you're being sensitive. It wasn't even that. It was just whatever, whatever." And that's what I'm listening out for. How you dust it off.
Yeah.
The feelings don't matter, like sure. But the fact that he took that and was like, "Nah, yeah, fairs," and like move on, like cool. Because some people will learn from things, and some people will think like people are just too sensitive. Sometimes people aren't sensitive. You've hurt them. Like, and I think how you accept that is more your character. And if I notice that your character is someone who will dust that off and ignore it, you're not for me.
Yes. And then that's how you know somebody is cancelled from your life or not.
Cancelling 101 with Maya.
The amount of people I've cancelled in the last year, gone.
Get out of here. But yeah, thank you so much for chatting to us and telling us your opinion on things. I think that was really insightful, and I think that was really nice to hear. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Hopefully we will see you again sometime to maybe discuss time itself.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That would be a scary conversation. Existential crisis.
I'm just gonna make up my own times from now on, honestly.
I do, man. Telling everyone's like, "Oh, you woke up too late." Like, no, I woke up early. You are late.
Yeah, it's actually 9 o'clock here. You know,
you're like that quote from Princess Diaries where it's like, "A queen is never late. Everyone else is simply early."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
thank you.
I have a do-rag, so it's.
I mean, yeah. We're working around you at this point. I said we're working around you at this point.
Everyone has to.
Anyway, thank you so much, Maya. Love always. Mwah. Okay, guys.
That's it. All our guests, we got them.
We got them. Yeah, so you just heard from Sarah, Teza and Maya. And I think people had similar opinions, but it was interesting to hear
different insights and different viewpoints.
Yeah, and different experiences of it. So yeah, that was episode 31. We hope you liked
Cancel
it.
culture.
And if you liked it, tell us below, and also tell us what you think about cancel culture. Do you think it should be cancelled itself? Should we cancel culture, or
that is a good point, Mia?
Or is it necessary? So yeah, we've been the Ghosties podcast.
Thank you for tuning in. Lots of love, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.